Before the Fellowship was the greatest story you've never heard. I'm Greg.
I'm Cameron.
I'm Dan.
Join us as we read and react to the Silmarillion by J.R.R. Tolkien. Last time, we read about the elves' journey west to Valinor, Ingwe and the Vanyar, Finwë and the Noldor, and the brothers Elwë and Olwë of the Teleri, some of which did not complete the journey to Valinor. Today, we continue the story with Chapter 4. Melian was a Maia of the race of the Valar. She dwelt in the gardens of Lórien, and among all his people there were none more beautiful than Melian, nor more wise, nor more skilled in songs of enchantment. It is told that the Valar would leave their works and the birds of Valinor their mirth, that the bells of Valmar were silent, and the fountains ceased to flow, when at the mingling of the lights, Melian sang in Lórien. Nightingales went always with her, and she taught them their song, and she loved the deep shadows of the great trees. She was akin before the world was made to Yavanna herself, and in that time when the Quendi awoke beside the waters of Cuiv-Vienin, she departed from Valinor and came to the Hitherlands, and there she filled the silence of Middle-earth before the dawn with her voice and the voices of her birds. Now, when their journey was near its end, as has been told, the people of the Teleri rested long in East Beleriand, beyond the river Gelion. And at that time many of the Noldor still lay to the westward, in those forests that were afterwards named Neldoreth and Region. Elwë, lord of the Teleri, went often through the great woods to seek out Finwë, his friend, in the dwellings of the Noldor. And it chanced on a time that he came alone to the starlit wood of Non-Elmoth, and there suddenly he heard the song of nightingales. Then an enchantment fell on him, and he stood still, and afar off, beyond the voices of the Lomelindi, he heard the voice of Melian, and it filled all his heart with wonder and desire. He forgot then utterly all his people, and all the purposes of his mind, and following the birds under the shadow of the trees, he passed deep into Non-Elmoth and was lost. But he came at last to a glade open to the stars, and there Melian stood, and out of the darkness he looked at her, and the light of Aman was in her face. She spoke no word, but being filled with love, Elwë came to her, and took her hand, and straightway a spell was laid on him, so that they stood thus while long years were measured by the wheeling stars above them. And the trees of Non-Elmoth grew tall and dark before they spoke any word. Thus Elwë's folk who sought him found him not, and Olwë took the kingship of the Teleri and departed, as is told hereafter. Elwë Singolo came never again across the sea to Valinor, so long as he lived, and Melian returned not thither while their realm together lasted. But of her there came among both elves and men a strain of the Ainur, who were with Iluvitar before Ea. In after days he became a king renowned, and his people were all the Eldar of Beleriand. The Sindar they were named, the Grey Elves, the Elves of the Twilight, and King Greymantle was he, Elwë Thingol, in the tongue of that land. And Melian was his queen, wiser than any child of Middle-earth. And their hidden halls were in Menegroth, the thousand caves, in Doriath. Great power Melian lent to Thingol, who was himself great among the Eldar. For he alone of all the Sindar had seen with his own eyes the trees in the day of their flowering. And king though he was of Umanyar, he was not accounted among the Moriquendi, but with the elves of the light, mighty upon Middle-earth. And of the love of Thingol and Melian, there came into the world the fairest of all the children of Iluvitar that was or shall ever be.
Okay, guys, you know how last time we talked about changing our names, maybe?
Yes.
To a different name that you found more poignant or whatever?
Yeah, do you want to be called Nightingale?
No, Iluvitar.
You can't pick that one.
Why is that?
Oh, what?
Why? Tell us why, though.
As I am God.
You can't name your kid Jesus either.
Well,
What about
that is
Jesus?
racially... that is racially inappropriate,
well,
Cameron.
Okay, well you
And
can
what about
name-
Salvatore or Salvador or Xavier or Jesus?
Okay, you can name yourself Iluvitar.
Okay, I'll be Iluvitar.
Dude. All right, so Greg, what happened? Can you teach us?
Teach us the
your
ways. Teach us your Elwës.
We have a Maia.
We do
And she's
have
Melian.
a Maia, one
Melian.
of the Maiar. Yeah, I'm not. What's the ruling on the pronunciation?
Melian?
Because I feel this is an important name.
It
An
is
important
important.
character.
Which one?
Melian.
Melian. It's gotta be.
Melian.
Also, look at that. Look at that image. I don't know if I can share my screen for it. Let me see if I can. Share screen as a tab. Can I share a tab?
I'll keep talking while you're figuring it out.
Melian.
You do it.
Melian.
Melian. So
Melian.
she's kind of, so the Maia are associated with certain Valar, and she has this connection with Yavanna even before the world began. Oh, is this okay, so tell us what we're looking at.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, this is Melian so I literally quoted this whole sentence. Melian was a Maia, the race of the Valar. Sorry, more than a sentence. She dwelt in the gardens of Lórien, and among all his people there were none more beautiful than Melian, nor more wise, nor more skilled in songs of enchantment. And that's what Midjourney envisioned with that whole phrase. Isn't that crazy?
Yeah,
kinda
I have
beautiful.
one. I have one as well. It's similar.
Okay,
You
do
guys
it.
that?
Yeah. Let's see if our AIs are as intelligent as each other. Whoa, that's also intelligent.
Isn't that cool? I just wrote none more beautiful than Melian. And I like the you guys gotta check out our YouTube channel. Just search Before the Fellowship podcast and you'll find it. But above there's like this skirt
Oh,
of
yeah, good point.
sky. It's really interesting, and then the trees all around her. Beautiful. So Melian, yeah, she's really important, isn't she?
So Lórien it's like part of Valinor, right? Or like in the, am I correct in that?
I don't
Lórien
think
is
so,
a
'cause
person. Lórien is a person, but he's called.
I think Lórien is outside. Remember when they built those mountains to separate them, and then now it's divided
The
through this
gardens of Lórien. There was that.
body of
wasn't there?
water. I think
the gardens of the Valinor is Lórien.
Okay, and
Yeah.
and his name isn't. They call him Lórien, but it's kind of like Mondos too, right? Where
Yeah.
he's called that because of
Correct.
the place. But so that I like those images too. This is what I was thinking. This is how crazy I am. I was like, but there's not light in the world yet, and those pictures have light. but in Valinor there is
AI.
light. And, yeah. I don't know how I didn't infer that from the text that you copied.
Well, Greg, so just to be clear, I think so that Melian, was part of the. She met up with the Teleri,
Right.
who tarried along the way to Valinor, and this is when some of them broke off, some of them were in the woods, and that's when they meet Melian, correct?
Right,
So
but it seems that only Elwë does, at least at first, or it's not clear otherwise. But Elwë encounters her in the woods. Maybe they all hear the music, but he kind of goes into the woods, and they spend years together without speaking.
Oh, we've all been there.
It's kind of a nice little lovely description. She spoke no word, but being filled with love, Elwë came to her and took her hand, and straightway a spell was laid on him. So they stood thus while long years were measured by the wheeling stars above them.
That's a beautiful line.
Yeah. And the trees of Non Almeth grew tall and dark before they spoke any word. And they do. So he just plants himself there. He's part of the Teleri that do not. Although I think this is an interesting point that Tolkien specifies. He was one of the original elves to go to Valinor when Orome took them as ambassadors. And so he had seen the light of Aman.
Yeah, good point.
But he returned to bring his people back, and then along the way he was just stopped by the most beautiful creature.
That's cool. That's a good point.
And I don't know. I mean, there's a lot you could draw from that.
There's something I didn't know this until my third time now reading the Silmarillion, but Elwë is Thingol, right?
Uh-huh.
Yeah,
Yes,
what the heck?
yes. Better known as Elwë rather than Thingol, actually.
See, that went over my head.
Is that what it said?
I'm going to.
No, it's just that if you search Thingol,
Oh, interesting.
it's hard to find Elwë Singolo. Elwë Singolo, the original name of Elwë Thingol, which is interesting. It's Elwë because it's like there's something divine in that name.
Well, Elwë definitely upgrades with being with Melian because she's a Maia.
Yeah.
That's a level up. That's really good. Is that the first time we hear of marriage between like a Maia and someone else?
I believe so.
What's the quote for the marriage?
Well, they love each other, and they have children of Iluvitar.
But where's the quote that like seals that?
This is the last line. Of the love of Thingol and Melian, there came into the world the fairest of all the children of Iluvitar there was or ever shall be.
That's awesome.
And they have a realm together. So.
And it does say, in after days he became a king renowned, and then later, and Melian was his queen.
Yeah.
Well, look at that.
And just a little nugget is
that still PG, by the way?
Yes.
Yeah, they have a smooch. They smooch each other.
Okay, cool.
Little kiss. Their kingdom is really important for the story.
Mm-hmm.
So that was a short chapter, but it's really important.
You could say it's a thing, Gull.
You could, but I won't.
I win.
So
anyway, give us 3 Silmarils out of...
I guess it's that time, huh?
Yeah.
All right. Well, if you enjoy what you hear, go ahead and rate us 3 Silmarils out of 3.
Especially if you like my dad joke.
Yes.
Or if you don't.
If you don't, be brutally honest. That's what we want. We just want...
I want you guys to right now go onto iTunes and rate on 5 stars Dan's joke for our podcast.
Ow.
The Thingol joke, and let us know what you think of that joke.
Ouch. That's horrible, Cameron.
I know we're inviting a lot of feedback, but this is one that we're really gonna take to heart. So
we'll keep mentioning it and coming back.
All right, so follow us everywhere at Before the Fellowship. Send any comments or questions or critiques, any notes. If you got notes, we're gonna check them out at beforethefellowship@gmail.com. And join us next week as we read the greatest story you've never heard. The Silmarillion by J.R.R. Tolkien.
End of season 1.
Woo! Guy K!